How are you doing on this fine Sunday evening?
It's going well. I'm a little sick, but never too sick to do a collab with Departures Capital.
Well, you got those Buckleys on your side, so it's all right.
Gotta have that Buckley's. And this show was sponsored by Buckley's.
Yep.
Just kidding.
I wish.
Well, if you guys love Aurora, please give me a like. It really helps with my channel, and it really helps Aurora out as well. What's going on, guys? It's Investing Hustler here, and I'm here with Aaron from Departures Capital. How's it going, Aaron?
Oh, it's going great.
Yeah, so we're just trying to get this collab out of the way so Aaron can play some Call of Duty, right?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Call of Duty. Yeah, thinking about it.
So Aaron has you have an article for us about Aurora Cannabis, right? And Aurora Cannabis has been on fire the past week. Canopy and Aurora specifically have been on fire. Aurora Cannabis went up 26% since the 8th of January.
All right, guys. So we're going to get into this article we found here. Why Aurora Cannabis is soaring. It didn't miss. Analysts did. Why Aurora Cannabis okay, this guy made a spelling mistake. It's not my reading. Why Aurora Cannabis has been soaring. The market ignores analysts concerning Aurora Cannabis as it guides for a strong second quarter. What's most important to take into consideration with Aurora? Production expansion is ahead of schedule. So like I said in all of my previous videos, probably for the last week or two, Aurora Cannabis, I don't feel like, okay, so they make 50 million this quarter, they make 60 million this quarter, they make 10 million more, 10 million less. That's not going to matter. What's really going to matter is companies' guidance. That's what I feel like is going to propel the stock, because we have a lot of people who believe in Aurora and they're not going to cry over 10 million, whether we're up or down. Like, as long as it's not like, oh, we're supposed to make 60 million, but we lost 100 million. Then of course they'd be like, holy crap, what's going on?
Yep.
Anyways.
Yeah, I was surprised to see the downfall that day when they announced that they were going to have 50 million revenue that quarter. So I actually picked up some shares as soon as I heard that.
Nice.
And surprisingly, they went on a nice run, a 28% run. And Canopy in the past week went up on a 33% run.
Yeah.
33.9, so a 34% run. So the real question is, are they going to continue this run next week, or are we going to see a red week this week coming up? But yeah, we could continue with the article.
For sure. That's a valid point. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But the recent preliminary guidance from ACB has been major impetus behind the recent surge in its share price of the company, as well as the overall cannabis industry, as it confirmed expectations growth in the sector was continuing at a robust pace. While the usual suspects that always view Aurora Cannabis from the point of view of the glass being half empty, focusing on the company not meeting analysts' expectations, reported the alleged failure to meet those expectations. The market has rightly ignored that wrong outlook and has been rewarding the company for its guided performance. In this article, we'll look at why the market is right in its actions and why Aurora Cannabis is visibly on the right track. So if you want to read guidance, you can go ahead.
So there were two things that got the market especially excited in the recent guidance from Aurora management. The first was confirmation it was significantly boosting sales with the expected range of 50 million to 55 million for the second fiscal quarter. That compares to 11.7 million in revenue generated in the same period of 2017. For the prior quarter, the company generated 29.7 million in revenue, reinforcing the thesis that ongoing significant sales growth remains. So yeah, that's a huge jump from 29.7 to 50 to 55 million. And then from 11.7 to 50 million in the next year, that's a huge jump. Any other company, everyone would be excited, but since it's Aurora, since it's the marijuana industry, and since they had such high expectations, people got disappointed because it didn't reach. I think the expectation was 72 million or 60 something,
67 or something, something close to that. Yeah.
If guidance proves to be accurate, it's unaudited. That would mean that the company year over year grew revenue about 327% and almost 70% from the previous quarter. So just like I said, that's huge growth. And as I've mentioned numerous times, none of this should be surprising to investors, as it has been very visible for some time. The exact numbers weren't predictable, but the fact that they would continue to rise significantly was. Where the guidance provided a nice surprise was in its outlook concerning EBITDA, where the company said by the end of its fiscal year, it should be able to sustain its positive EBITDA. The reason for the optimistic outlook for its sustainable EBITDA is that the introduction of products with wider margins, near-term regulatory approval of higher margins products, and disciplined cost management. To be honest, if the company does achieve sustainable EBITDA, I'm getting annoyed saying that, in that time frame, it's going to be far quicker than I was expecting and can accelerate the increase in its share price faster than I was looking for. I don't look at earnings as the key catalyst over the next year or two, but it's a good secondary addition to the performance of the company that could cause it to outperform expectations going forward. The reason that could happen is it would bring in money from the move risk averse investors that want to see proven profitability before taking a position in the company.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree anymore, and that's exactly what I've been saying. That when it gets right down to the numbers, I mean, if it's above obviously if it's above analyst estimates, that's just icing on the cake. But if we're below by 5 to 10 mil, whatever, it's all about guidance right now for the next year. So the key to upward momentum for Aurora, for some time, it's been saying the key to Aurora returning to positive momentum is when it proves it is able to bring production and sales to consistently higher levels. The recent guidance, if close to being accurate, does in fact reinforce its capability to perform in that manner. As for the alleged miss by Aurora, it doesn't even compute with myself and most of the market. The reason why is most investors understand when looking at 3-month intervals, there's no way to project how much production and sales will be during the given quarter at this point. So when some analysts throw out numbers like sales of 60 million to a little under 75 million, it has nothing to do more than tossing the dice, as guidance confirms. Investors understand this, which is why they're ignoring the supposed miss. The so-called miss wasn't on part of Aurora, it was on part of analysts. So that's pretty cool. I mean, most investors, including myself, aren't interested in specific revenue numbers at this time. What's far more important is whether or not production capacity and revenue continues to grow. I agree. In other words, maintaining an upward trajectory is what the market wants to see confirmed, whether or not certain numbers are being met. Again, I've been saying for a while that analysts are wrong in attempting to treat Aurora Cannabis and other in the industry as if the market's mature. It's just the beginning of its growth, and it'll take at least a couple of years, in my opinion, before it starts to act like a fairly predictable market. There are far too many variables involved at this time to consider it in any other way. One example of that is the ongoing legalization process that is happening in North America and around the world. There will continue to be more and more countries legalizing medical and recreational cannabis. What companies like Aurora Cannabis have to prove is their capacity, production, and revenue guidance is moving in the asserted direction. Aurora Cannabis has proven that to be the case, which is why its share price has been soaring and why it's pulling many other marijuana companies with it. So you can read the conclusion if you want.
Yeah, I also do want to bring up that I think in Ontario, it's going to be official that I forget what's the exact date, but I was watching the news, but I think it's, retail stores are set to open on April 1st in Ontario to sell cannabis. So this is the article. Ontario releases regulations for cannabis retail stores set to open on April 1st. Maybe we could read that article after, but yeah. So we'll go to the conclusion, which is Aurora Cannabis is in the early stages of a long-term upward growth trajectory, with the next 3 years or so generating a lot of upward momentum for the company. By far, the most important thing the market is looking for is that it maintain its upward growth trajectory that more than anything else will determine its share price and value over the next couple of years at least. The fact is going to I hate this word, to produce the positive and sustainable EBITDA within a couple of quarters is just the icing on the cake. I don't look at that as its major catalyst for now, but it is a nice surprise that could attract more safety-minded investors looking for higher returns. That is likely to push the share price higher than I was expecting in the second half of 2019 if it does achieve that. So does that mean new all-time highs? So finally, the company announced it should reach annual production of 150,000 kilograms in fiscal third quarter, a quarter ahead of its prior guidance. That presumably should generate more revenue than expected as well. I see the guidance of Aurora Cannabis as a very positive report, and assuming it's accurate bodes well for investors. One thing to take into account is this doesn't mean the company won't remain volatile, because it will. Many traders will once again take position in the company and take profits when it jumps higher. I encourage you not to be one of them unless that's your strategy right here. At this point of the overall cannabis market and the Aurora Cannabis place in it, I see this as the time when it moves into a fairly long-term growth cycle that will reward those that hang on to the company for a long period of time. That's you, right?
Yep.
Tempted to sell if the price takes a nosedive. That's going to happen from time to time, especially after a significant upward move like we've seen lately. It wouldn't surprise me to see Aurora continue to move up, or for traders to take some profit and push the price down. Either way, I'm not going to sell my shares in the company, as I see it continuing to climb in the value for at least the next 3 years. Based upon soaring cannabis demand and the production levels the company will reach by about the end of 2021, possibly sooner. As the company stands today, it'll probably generate about 720,000 kilograms a year by then. I'm going to stay invested and get my share of profits. I recommend for readers to do the same, but as I've mentioned to potential investors in the past, it's not a good idea to take position in Aurora if you're susceptible to selling if the share price comes under pressure, which will be inevitable from time to time. That's a sure way to take a loss if you have a higher entry point.
100%.
My view is investors should start looking at Aurora Cannabis as a long-term holding and remain in it for the long haul. Very
That's
good
a,
article.
that's a very positive article. I mean, it was written very well, though.
Yes, it was. And
That's been
clearly,
my strategy. Honestly, after I stopped trading it, I would say after the run up from legalization, that's been my basically. This guy just basically said what my investment strategy was with ACB
and
since
he
legalization.
recommended not to do my investing strategy, which has worked out for me so far because I've been selling at high points and I've had so many opportunities to buy at low points.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
the
worked
thing
out
is, though,
so far. So
it's not that terrible to be stuck bag holding ACB if you're even if your average is 8, 9, $10, whatever. Like, okay, you screwed up and you bought it when it was $10. Not saying that was a bad time to buy it, but it
yeah.
would obviously be down at this time. But I wouldn't even be sad about holding ACB even if I had it at $10, because like I'm long term in the company. So
Yeah,
there's
no,
a
I
lot
feel
of
like no, but the thing is, I will hold on to a certain part of my position long term, no matter what.
yeah
But I will always collect some profits. I will never get rid of 100% of my position unless I make a
yeah
stupid mistake that I've made with Apria. Otherwise, I'll always hold to a little chunk of my position because that way it's
yeah
easier to average down. So let's say I only have $4,000 worth of Aurora shares and it drops. I can
yeah
easily average that price down, dropping another $4,000 or $8,000 into Aurora. But if I had 20,000 in Aurora and it drops down, it's harder to average that price even lower because I would have to drop another tenth to make a significant move in my shares. But
yeah no for
yeah,
sure for sure.
everyone's different. I obviously it's the safer route is to be a long-term investor and just hold on to your gains and be patient with Aurora. Hold on to it for 10, 20 years. That is the safer and probably the smarter
Yeah.
route. I just know the volatility of this market, so that's why I'm ready to collect profit.
No, for sure. I'm actually thinking of adding some Aurora this month. Not too sure.
I'm
Might
hoping
add.
it drops. I want to add some Aurora, that's for sure. Because I
Yeah.
sold off. I had $10,000 worth, and in the last week, I've sold off about 7,000. So now I have about 3,000 Aurora shares, $3,000
Mm.
worth of Aurora shares.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I want to buy back my shares. I'm in a big cash position. I almost have 40K in cash. So
Wow.
I'm ready to buy some Aurora shares. I'm just hoping for a drop.
Nice.
Well, that's it for now, guys. If you guys love Aurora, give us a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, don't forget to subscribe to me and don't forget to subscribe to Departures Capital. We're doing this for you guys while I'm sick, while he's tired. So hit that notification bell, smash that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys on our next video. Bye-bye.